part 8, and I'm going to start now with a little bit about compassion and intention, how to use this energy more effectively. So there's quite a few ways to intend on sending out healing energy, and one of the things that helps a whole lot is a compassionate frame of mind. And there are higher sources that you can call on to get help with this, things such as angels, beings of light, and spirit guides, who are all like way too happy to come to your assistance if they are asked in this clear frame of mind, and they can be of course greater benefit than working by yourself. So I strongly believe in calling on these light beings to be helping out with any kind of attunement. One of the things that really does not help Reiki is to go about it in any kind of a selfish way, just for the money or for personal gain or power or ego, self-important airs, or for any other negative purpose. That is when Reiki spiritual beings will just walk off the job and it's kind of left with nothing. So there must be a congruence and alignment within that part of yourself for the Reiki to flow through and do it in a powerful way. And so if the focus is on helping others and healing, then that is going to also be applied to you. You could think of it as sort of a form of karmic cleansing that way. And this is some of the negativity that drops off when practicing Reiki. It's cleansing for the karma, even including past lives, any kind of negative residue that's left because of that also. It can be practiced by the regular use of things like affirmations and prayers and regular meditation and appreciation. By sincerely asking for the things of the heart, you get the help of the higher spiritual beings. So competitiveness is not a part of Reiki, and unfortunately this competitive stuff is really deeply rooted in our country here, and so you might notice that there are going to be things going on with Reiki laws that are in some states. There's going to be laws that are maybe starting to gain momentum about the free use of Reiki, which, if you break it down, it's really kind of a ridiculous thing to try and restrain something that is a higher power like this, coming from God. Try to contain it within a law, but what is going on in some states is that there are laws being looked at where only certain certain individuals within certain professions would need the licensure to be able to practice this Reiki, which would be a very unfortunate thing, you know, because the fact of the matter is a collective consciousness, a consciousness that includes all the people who can do this particular type of thing, being directed at things like world peace and healing of the planet even, is going to be much more powerful, and it is not something that is going to be able to be contained by laws to begin with. So it's rather ridiculous to even consider doing these laws that try and restrain this sort of energy. But unfortunately, there are those who are at this time and have tried to pass laws to restrain what we call God. And so I encourage anybody, you know, who's interested in that part of it, or political activism, who's in favor of maintaining our freedoms of speech, of our freedoms of religion, to kind of take a look at that and see what you can find out about the current laws that are going on in regards to that. And also, another kind of byproduct of that is that, you know, we have a certain kind of insurance right now, and the thing about Reiki is that it is being practiced in many thousands of hospitals throughout the world in the United States, and so it might actually be something to ask your insurance agent about, you know, if they have any kind of information about Reiki practitioners who may be practicing in a hospital near you. You know, if you're in a situation where you would like some personal involvement with a Reiki practitioner. And so there are quite a few doctors out there, and nurses, and specialists who are getting into this and do have it available in hospitals, and it's something that might be worth asking about. It's not known as a medical treatment, so it's highly unlikely that insurance companies will cover it. And that's another thing about Reiki, is that you know, perhaps the insurance companies really should not have involvement in it, because along with the insurance, of course, comes the laws, and this is not something that really can be contained in that manner, because it is a spiritual type of energy, and not it's not concrete that way. So that is, and also along with that, we were talking about the particular education that a person needs, and right now it is very open, and I do believe that that's a real good thing, that we don't need to limit this to certain individuals, because by doing that, we're only doing ourselves a huge disservice for the world, for the planet. is a great need for healing on the planet, with as many Reiki practitioners as who can provide it as possible. The fear of competition goes directly against the nature of this energy, and because of this, it can repel people from you who might otherwise be interested in receiving a treatment. So, you know, it just does not quite fit the monetary sense of how we are used to looking at professionalism in any type of field. Okay, I've come across this survey that was done about this trend developing in society that's going to create a great demand for more Reiki practitioners. And now, of course, you know, here in the United States, we've got more and more people who are interested in alternative medicine and therapies, and really seeing that, you know, there are facts to that these untraditional sorts of therapies do work. So what we have here is a study by David Eisenberg of Boston Beth Israel Hospital, and he indicates that people in the U.S. are beginning to turn away from this traditional medicine and make a far greater use of it. And so the survey concluded that 34% of Americans said they use at least one alternative therapy. And this was done way back in 1990. And that Americans are spending nearly $14 billion a year for this type of treatment, most of it which comes out of our own pockets. And as I said, it's probably better that way than to get government and insurance involved and start passing laws that there's only one way and one way only of doing this. Because also some of the things that I'm actually using with my Reiki are guided imagery, which is a result of a few years of study that I was doing on art therapy. So, you know, I'm well aware of the therapeutic effects of both doing art and visualizing art, seeing art, the flow. I feel old now, but you know, I've had about 50 years of art in my blood, so I think that this is something that I'm pretty well versed in, that I can pass on to you. And I have a Bachelor of Science in art education. I graduated Kappa Delta Pi Honor Society in that, and also, although I do not have a degree in that, I have been looking at spirituality practices for the past at least 30 years, and so I don't think necessarily that that's something that somebody can or should get a degree in. And then there's other things like chiropractic and hypnosis and homeopathy, which can come into play. These things I'm not as familiar with, although I do know quite a bit due to my gardening about the elements of of herbals and the use of different essential oils in their properties, and how those can assist in healing and actually in clearing too, in clearing rooms. So then there's other things like folk remedies. And so imagine how lost we would be if we just passed laws on all of these things and said, no, these have to fall within, we're only going to use from now on every herb that you've ever heard of is banned, and we can only use like let's say parsley. Let's just get rid of everything else. I'm laughing because plants grow and I don't think it's necessarily possible to restrain this creative stuff that's going on in the earth that way, and just we pass a law and we say, well, we just this stuff just won't grow anymore. And because I had gotten into mycology too, what I can tell you is that this stuff under the dirt is supported by this mycel, which is actually mushrooms support. There's many miles and miles of this even under the dirt, which is going to support plants which are going to come up anyway. So it would be it's a rather foolish and overly time-consuming thing, I think, to be trying to pass laws that are overly prohibitive. So that's my lecture on law. And the thing is, there is a paradigm shift going on more towards a general acceptance of alternative medical treatment. So it is likely that Reiki will become widely accepted as a valid form of healing before the end of the decade. And so there is still a great need for Reiki practitioners. I'm taking a little bit of a break here so that I can clear my throat, and the book that I'm going through, I'm going to tell you right now, is called The Ultimate Guide to Reiki, and this is something that I can work with you if you choose to go on to Reiki 3. And what I've been doing with all of these talks is going through the book and kind of taking out parts that historically that I'm finding interesting, that might be useful for you, and also I'm adding my own experiences with what I'm seeing in front of me. So I'm kind of multitasking here. And if you would like to go a little bit further into the Reiki 3, you let me know and I can get you a copy of this particular document. And this one is a PDF and it's 319 pages, so just full of good advice for people. And of course there's all kinds of different Reiki practices that can be used. There's crystal Reiki, angel Reiki, Ahura. There's Reiki with using all the different kind of gods and goddesses. Here's one that I just ran across. It's called Karuna Reiki. Karuna is a Sanskrit word used in Hinduism and Buddhism. It is translated to mean any action that is taken to diminish the suffering of others, and could be translated as compassionate action. And that was a subject that we were on, so that is one form of Reiki that I also like and have more information on for you. Now, one thing I want to say about the Karuna Reiki is that that is also more advanced, and it also includes many more master symbols and treatment symbols in conjunction with Reiki 3 and beyond it. So if this is something that you are interested in, what you should do is leave a message in the comment section of one of these videos for me to contact you, or go to my website jilljj.com and get a hold of me from there, or send me an email. And I know it sounds sort of like a commercial, but in order to keep up with me, it still would be a good idea to subscribe to my channel so that you don't lose this information, like on the contacts and how to get these things. I also can get you lined up with some nice looking certificates that you can put up on your wall if you're interested in going into business doing this. As I'm quieting down here, what I'd like you to do is just focus on the images before you. Breathe in through the top of your head. Breathe out through your heart. Collect energy. Collect the light that I am sending you, as I do have my hands aimed at the screen. With the purple energy. Absorb. Fill yourself with the universe. I'm going to go on to explain a little bit more about the chakras and how they affect us. These chakras can be thought of as spinning discs of energy. They're constantly rotating and vibrating. You could think of them as looking sort of like a kaleidoscope. The activities in them influence our body shape, glandular processes, chronic physical ailments, thoughts, and behavior. When one or more of the chakras is blocked, energy does not flow harmoniously through them, or it is wide open, it will result in imbalance that is manifested in all areas of life, body, mind, and spirit. Each chakra is expressed in the physical body in one of the endocrine glands that regulate physical and emotional processes in the body. The imbalance in the chakra will also be expressed in the endocrine gland linked to it. So how can we assess the chakras? You can do it by using your hands, of course. There's also another method which uses a pendulum. And with each of these discs, like you can start to feel the energy if it's moving in the right direction. What we want is for the chakra to feel like it's moving in a clockwise position, clockwise rotation. And actually, one thing that a person can do to get your chakras to move in that right position, into the right rotation, is to move your hands in that same clockwise rotation just over where each of the chakras is. So if you in particular feel like your heart chakra is a little bit blocked up, what you can do is hold your hand just a few inches away from your midsection heart and make a slow clockwise rotation. And I would say start out with just 9 clockwise circles with your hand, and then take kind of a break and just hold your hand over it. Try and feel out to see if this has relaxed the situation at all. And now what can happen is that you might get overactive or underactive chakras. So you can try this with each of your chakras until you'll start to feel it. You know, you'll start to feel when everything comes into balance, and you might have some that are more active and more open, that they need less rotation, and some might not need fixing at all, and some might need quite a bit of rotation. So as you're working on yourself, that's another way to do Reiki. A pendulum would work in the same way. Some people will use, there's all kinds of information on that sort of thing. I don't do that myself, but there is all kinds of information that you can find like on YouTube about how to do the pendulum. And basically what will happen with that is that the pendulum will when being held above somebody, will spin in either a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation. And if it is starting to spin in that counterclockwise, that tells the person doing it that that particular chakra may be blocked. And the different spins will say, you know, like if you have an overactive one, it may start spinning too fast, or if it's moving too much in a back and forth movement, then that might need some work. And my partner is home, and so I'm going to, he's just out fishing today for some northerns. He was actually out walking on water. He's a miracle worker too. No, we live in Minnesota where the lakes freeze. So he was out ice fishing, and so unfortunately I have to go, and I'll just let you take one of the attunements from one of the other videos. I'll send you a little ray of light with this last one now, and before I go, and say namaste. Okay, I have a little bit of time left here to finish up this. You didn't catch a northern, but anyway, we'll have to go back out another day and see if we can catch a fish. Now I was talking about law and kind of the ridiculousness of barring plants and certain practices, and you know, Reiki is one of them, trying to bar nature and God in that way. To me is really kind of not so, but it happens. And so one of the things that we can do as Reiki practitioners ourselves is put our shields up against any kind of negative energy like that. It really is not doing a whole lot for the planet for us to be engaging in monocultures and this linear restricted type of thinking. And one of these things that we can do to protect ourselves when we're actually within auric distance or right next to, you know, people who we feel uncomfortable around, is to put our shields up. So I'm gonna keep going a little bit more with this and talk about auric shields, because I'm sure a lot of you have felt this. You are maybe in a public place and you get kind of a feeling that somebody might be taking energy from you, or kind of getting into your space, or being pushy, or it's a feeling that a lot of people get. And although it's not visible, it is there, and there are people who want this kind of power and will take it. And so what we can do is do a little bit of an exercise to end here with putting our shields up, making our own aura shield, and blocking this negative energy. Now, when I've given the attunements, I've told you about how to ground yourself. So this is the thought to have. Go back to those if you don't quite recall, and do another grounding activity. I have those in number 4 and 5 towards the end there. Do a grounding. Concentrate on that. If you ever find yourself in this situation where you feel like your energy is being taken away from you or infringed upon, mentally do your own aura shield. Protect and visualize that the outer edge of your aura goes hard like a force field, something like, and visualize Star Trek. You have a big force field around you from head to foot, and nothing can get out, and you're containing your positive energy, and you're also going to, with that shield, be able to deflect any kind of negative energy back to the sender. So when you do that, you put your intention up about putting up a shield. You can tell yourself, shields up, autopilot. For me, it's the name of the Reiki power symbol. And you can visualize yourself being encompassed by a purple egg and bouncing any kind of that negative stuff that anybody might be sending at you back to them. And I'm sure that you understand that this aura shield will only protect you from negative energy. It will not protect you from physical attacks. In such a case, I would recommend taking Tai Chi, which in the form of its slowness is actually, when you speed it up, Kung Fu. So this should help you out with any kind of physical attack. Okay. Of course, we need to use common sense with that, and not use it unless we have to. So with that little tidbit of the auric shield and what we have with what's in front of us, just take another few deep breaths right through the top of your head and bring in that light. And breathe out through your heart. And another way to seal in that energy. Put your hands together. Collect it. Be calm. Just for today, I will not worry. I will work hard. I will be kind to myself and to others. I will be open and generous. I will honor that place in myself that is of love, of light, of truth, and of peace. And when you are in that place in yourself, and when I am in that place in myself, that is one with the universal divine. Namaste.